じきに馬が整います。
久しぶりの故郷だ。もってどれほどか。たまに世と遊んでくださっお礼を申し上げねばな。
Last time on Vinland Saga, Ketil acknowledged Panter's strength and courage, despite his past as a former slave. After more than 3 years of hard work, Thorfinn and Einar finally accomplished their goal of cutting down the last tree. They were ecstatic and celebrated this momentous occasion. Einar had already spoken to Pater about their future plans, and he had some excellent news for them. They could buy their freedom with the money they earned from the cleared land next harvest, with some extra money left over. Thorfinn was curious about Einar's future plans after he gained his freedom. Einar was unsure as he had no one waiting for him in his homeland, and he was also concerned about Arenheid. He wished to free her as well, but he knew that Ketil wouldn't let her go. Thorfinn couldn't offer much help in this regard, but he was a good listener. Thorfinn wondered if he would go back to Iceland once he was free. Although he wasn't entirely sure, he guessed it was possible. Both friends were uncertain about their future and laughed at the thought of not having concrete plans. Thorfinn then shared a thought with Einar. He had always dreamed of ending the world's war and slavery, and he wondered if it was possible. Einar acknowledged that it would be a dream come true, but he wasn't sure how feasible it was. A few moments later, a familiar face arrives on the scene. It's Ketil, accompanied by Olmar. Upon seeing that they had cut down the last tree, Ketil can't help but wonder whether they think they'll be able to till the soil in time for planting. Einar, however, reassures him that they can as long as they hurry up a bit. Feeling generous, Ketil decides to give Thorfinn and Einar a discount, letting them know that they will be free once they finish sowing the seeds. Surprised, Thorfinn and Einar are left momentarily speechless. Ketil notices their lack of response and wonders if they are unhappy with his offer. Einar quickly denies it and begins to shout for joy, with Thorfinn joining in the celebration. However, Ketil reminds them not to celebrate just yet, as they will have to wait until after he returns. He then asks if they have seen Sverkel, but as they deny it, he requests that they pass along a message to him. Ketil lets them know that he will be going to the palace in Jelling to visit King Harald, but promises to return in time for planting. As Ketil makes his way out, he turns and asks Thorfinn and Einar if they would be interested in continuing to work for him as his retainers once they are free. Giving them time to think it over, Ketil exits the scene, leaving Thorfinn and Einar to ponder over their future employment opportunities. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. What is your favorite music-related anime? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. As Gunnar wakes up Knut, he informs him about their imminent arrival in Jelling, which instantly piques Knut's interest. Once in Jelling, he is met by Wolf, who has some grave news to share. Wolf informs Knut that his brother, King Harald, is seriously ill and that his condition has been deteriorating over the past month. In fact, Harald is no longer capable of speaking, which shocks Knut to the core. As Knut tries to come to terms with the news, Wolf proceeds to give him more details about his brother's condition. He tells Knut that the next few days will be critical, and he should be prepared for the worst. Knut is clearly worried and anxious, and he begins to reminisce about the good times he shared with Harald. As he looks around, he sees some kids playing a game and is reminded of the time when he and Harald used to play the same game. It was one of their favorite pastimes, and Harald was particularly good at it. Knut also remembers how his brother never paid attention to the feuds between people in the palace about who would succeed Sweyn. Harald was more interested in spending time with his brother and playing with him. Knut's memories take him back to when he was young, and he and Harald were playing together. He trips and falls, but Harald assures Ragnar that Knut is a tough kid and he's just spoiling him. Ragnar still checks on Knut, and this memory fills Knut's heart with warmth and gratitude towards his brother. As Knut's mind wanders, he notices the children's ball falling in front of him. Strangely, he sees it as his father's head, which startles him. Wolf notices Canute's reaction and wonders if there's a problem. Canute tries to brush it off, saying that it's nothing. Harold and Canute, the two brothers who inherited their respective territories from Sweyn, shared a close bond that was strengthened by their mutual support. Harold, the elder of the two, received Denmark, while Canute inherited England, a territory he conquered with his brother's unwavering support. With Harold sending fleets of ships to aid his brother's conquest, the two proved to be a formidable force. However, fate soon intervened as Harold fell ill shortly after Canute was crowned King of England, leaving him without a heir to carry on his legacy. Canute pays a visit to Harold, who is confined to his bed, and is welcomed by Estrid. However, Canute insists on being addressed as Your Majesty. Sensing Harold's weakened state, Canute instructs them not to disturb him and promises to have a conversation with him when he is feeling better. Later, when Harold wakes up, Canute advises him to rest and not worry about the kingdom's affairs. Harold, in turn, declares Denmark as Canute's domain. Canute is amused but urges Harold to recover before indulging in such talk. While in Harold's company, Canute encounters Sweyn, who feigns surprise at Canute's feigned ignorance. Sweyn marvels at why he needed to kill Harold, who was a friend to them both, and suggests that they could have ruled together. However, Canute did it for his ambition to rule as the king of all the North Sea, and Sweyn warns him of the crown's curse, which no one can escape. Estrid interrupts their conversation, bringing Canute back to reality, explaining that he seemed to be in a daze. After a brief exchange, Canute takes his leave, and Estrid prepares a room for him. Later in his room, Canute gazes intently at the crown, lost in thought. Suddenly, a woman enters with a drink, but Canute seems preoccupied and asks where the drink came from. The woman looks puzzled, but Canute dismisses the drink, claiming he isn't thirsty. Sweyn's disembodied head then reappears, revealing his fear of being poisoned due to his own murderous actions. Canute scoffs at the absurdity of Sweyn's appearance in broad daylight, but Sweyn counters that it must be a sign of the curse growing stronger. Canute muses on the importance of unity among nations in creating a utopia, and how the existence of two kings would only lead to trouble, which is why Harold's death was necessary. Sweyn acknowledges that Canute has begun to think like a true king. Canute chuckles and reminisces about the time he once despised and wished for Sweyn's death, but now he finds comfort in talking to him openly. He longs for friendship with Sweyn, recognizing that they are both cursed men. As they converse, Canute recalls a fond memory of playing with Harold. However, their discussion is interrupted by Sweyn calling for Harold to join a war council. Before departing, Harold advises Canute to become stronger than him and Sweyn. Will our heroes live up to Harold's hopes? Find out next week on our next recap of Vinland Saga Season 2.